Michael and Lana went to Pancakes by the Bay the next morning for breakfast and coffee. Penelope took their order. What would it be for you this morning? Give me the mountain morning coffee and Bayside griddle cakes. Give me the mountain morning coffee and Bayside crepes. Sure, I'll have that for you. Have you thought about the murder yet? Yeah, I was trying to understand the motive for it. Also, there's not enough physical evidence to directly connect the murder to any person. All we know is that it was committed by a person who was wearing the same hat that people have been taking turns wearing. That gives us a pretty good clue, but it is not definitive evidence that the person who committed the murder was the person who wore that hat. Yeah, they were wearing that hat when we saw them throw the dead body in the van, but we don't know the circumstances of where they got the hat. Look, somebody left some kind of pamphlet on the table. What is it? Leilana looks through the pamphlet. It looks like some kind of invitation to a pagan ceremony. They are honoring the pagan deity Gorgon. That might be a clue. There are pagan religions that believe that human sacrifice can confer immortality to a person if it is offered up to the gods and goddesses. I don't believe that myself, but there are crazy people out there. Maybe some of the people who have been coming here are a part of a pagan religion that sacrifices human beings to Gorgon. We should try to observe some of these people more closely in the future to see if they seem suspicious. Yeah. Do you want to go back to my condominium to practice some more William Shakespeare? Some more dialogue, sure. Mike and Leilana went back to Mike's condominium to practice some more dialogue. Mike and Leilana thoroughly enjoyed their dialogue performances and talked into the evening. What a beautiful night it is, isn't it, Leilana? It's a night that invites lovers to a warm embrace of the ocean breeze that massages the body and soul of transcended people. That's what I was thinking. A warm late June evening by the San Francisco Bay with my goddess of love. That's not merely being alive. That's living. Have you thought about at all about the murder at Pancakes by the Bay? No? I've just been thinking about what a shame it is that we are confronted by such heinous crimes in this life. Life could be so wonderful if we were to cooperate as human beings. The beauty of romantic love and just the beauty of being alive. I've wandered alone through this world at certain times of my life and have experienced unbridled mirth just by being in contact with a higher power. That is the harmonizing element of nature. I believe that we were spawned by an immortal fire and shall return to this immortal fire to repeat the cycle of birth and death. Immortal fire. That's interesting. I believe in a higher power and an immortal fire. A higher power. Awesome. Yeah, higher power. I've been thinking about the murder. I have a theory. You do. Yeah, here it is. I was thinking that it may be a remote possibility that Penelope did it. Penelope the waitress? Oh, come on. She wouldn't do it. She's trying to solve the murder by filming a movie about it that gives people clues as to who committed the murder. What if she was only filming a movie to solve the murder case only as a way to cover up for herself the person who committed the murder? You might be onto something, Leilana. There is a certain amount of plausibility to that. Do you want to go to Pancakes by the Bay for tomorrow for breakfast and coffee? Sure. The next morning arrives, and Mike and Leilana go to Pancakes by the Bay. Penelope takes her order. How can I help you? I love the mountain morning coffee and Bayside griddle cakes. What's it going to be for you, Leilana? I love the mountain morning coffee and Bayside crepes. Coming right up. How's the film project coming, Penelope? Good. I'm in talks with some Hollywood producers at the moment. Nice talking to you, Penelope. Likewise. Penelope goes up to get their food. Does Penelope seem suspicious to you as a murder suspect? Not really, but it came to mind that if she was the murderer, filming a movie about the murder in order to give people clues about it would be a good way to cover herself up. I agree, but that doesn't necessarily give us much evidence that she is the murderer. I agree. But I think it's a remote possibility. Let's see if we can analyze her behavior. Yeah. We could see if she would have any motives for murder. Penelope comes back with her breakfast. Here's your grub and coffee. Thanks, Penelope. She doesn't seem violently angry to me. No, she doesn't. Do you want to go back to your condominium to practice more dialogue? Sure. Mike and Leilana went back to Mike's condominium. To practice some more dialogue. Mike and Leilana went back to Pancakes by the Bay for breakfast and coffee the next morning. Penelope, their favorite waitress, took their order. What's it going to be for you this morning, Mike and Leilana? Give me the Bayside griddle cakes and a cup of mountain morning coffee. Splendid. What's it going to be for you, Leilana? Give me the Bayside pancakes and a cup of mountain morning coffee. I'll have that for you people. Um, um, Penelope went to get their food as they talked. Um, do you see anything in Penelope's behavior that would arouse suspicion? No. If she is the murderer, she's hiding it. Here comes Penelope with our food. Here's your pancakes, griddle cakes, and coffee. Enjoy. Thanks, Penelope. Leilana was looking out the window when the same woman in the Corvette pulls up. She stops and looks into the restaurant, and her eyes glow with an intensely luminous light that emits a spectral essence. For a moment, she doesn't seem to have eyeballs in her sockets, but strictly a brilliant light emanating from each socket. Penelope looks right back at her with the same type of phosphorescent light being emitted from her eye sockets. Suddenly, the light from both of their eye sockets dissipates, and the eyeballs return. The woman in the Corvette then drives off. What was that, Penelope? What was what? I saw some kind of light being emitted from your eye sockets and the eye sockets of the woman in the Corvette. My eye sockets? If you were looking at them, all you would have seen were my eyeballs. No, Penelope, we saw light emanating from them. That's bullshit. Would you like some more coffee? Yes, please. I would like some. Penelope goes back to get them some more coffee. Do you want to go back to my condominium? Sure. Mike and Leilani went back to Mike's condominium and talk. So you did see the light in Penelope's eye sockets? I sure did. For a moment, there were no eyeballs in her eye sockets, just light emanating from them. I saw the same type of light emanating from the eye sockets of the um, woman in the Corvette. I wonder what that could be. So do I. Also, why did she deny that there was only light emanating from her eye sockets and eyeballs? Okay, let me repeat that. Also, why did she deny that there was only light emanating from her eye sockets and no eyeballs? I don't know. I wonder why the light from her eye sockets seemed to be the same light as the light from the Corvette woman's eye sockets. Interesting. Okay, let me repeat that. Interesting eye sockets indeed. Would you like to practice more William Shakespeare dialogue? Sure. Mike and Leilani will practice more William Shakespeare dialogue. Here's an excerpt from it. Now I got to get the William Shakespeare dialogue out. Okay. Um, maybe I'll do two of these. It's for two different plays. Let's see. A Midsummer Night's Dream. Okay. Because I wish it was the summer. Here we are in the dead of winter, but the weather hasn't been that bad so far this winter, with a few exceptions. But I hate the winter. I love the summer. So let's do a Midsummer Night's Dream. Okay. First of all, I'm going to read the introduction to this, so I myself understand it. A Midsummer Night's Dream, introduction by Alec Yearling. Of the handful of plays where the material seems to have been essentially of Shakespeare's own invention, excuse me, A Midsummer Night's Dream is by some way the most sturdily put together. Within a framing situation of the impending nuptials of Theseus and Hippolyta, three actions are juxtaposed, alternating and interconnecting the story of the four lovers being the most elaborate in terms of plot, four lovers, and that of the rehearsing mechanicals the most rudimentary. And to both of these, the willfulness of the fairy world, intrudes temporarily in the transformation of bottom, permanently in the continuing enchantment of Demetrius, which allows the lovers' initial ragged ensemble to emerge as symmetrical pairing. This is so beautifully worded. Okay. The various actions echo each other without falling into too schematic a pattern of parallel or contrast. Theseus and Hippolyta have come through antagonism to mutual love. Oberon bests Titiana by humiliating her until she seeks his love and protection. The mortal lovers endure the hazards common to their kind. Parental opposition, passion unrequited, infidelity, betrayal, until they and their situation are satisfactorily adjusted. And the mechanicals play out a miniature Romeo and Juliet, which would be tragedy were it not inadvertently presented as farce. It would, in fact, be easy to summarize many incidents so as to make the play seem darker and more threatening than it proves. Titiana, degraded by an amorous involvement with a bestial clown, Hermia threatened with death or the nunnery, which is worse, death or the nunnery. Old friendships ripped up in sexual rivalry, sadomasochistic tendencies in the world's rulers. As it is, merriments is what Theseus commands on first entrance, and on the way towards the final fairy benediction, our overriding response is laughter. Everything provokes it. Our Puck-like superiority to the character's conditioned responses, a recognition of actuality in the acrimonious verbal exchanges. Above all, our almost invariable pleasure taken in the performance of what is one of Shakespeare's most bounteous gifts to the acting profession. What binds it all together is an imaginative wholeness wherein the early Shakespeare's free lyrical flow is directed towards a unified vision which proves to be both ironic and celebratory. Night, dreams, and the moon are invoked at the outset and come increasingly to be linked with the idea of irrational sight. Sight, which is at odds both with what the object is and is known to be. Shakespeare teases out this theme until it embraces the audience as well as every element of the play. I would my father look but with my eyes, says Hermia. And it is, of course, upon the eyes that the juice of the purple flower is squeezed. All see what they are inclined to see. The inclination is sometimes involuntary, sometimes willed, sometimes coerced. Oberon and Puck's enchantment stands for the delusive powers of darkness and dreaming, or for lunacy, or for the vagaries of the heart. Lysander and Demetrius are agreed in the first scene to be much of muchness. Hermia and Helena have names that denote the potential interchangeability which will become actual in the chaotic middle of the play, which at any point one beloved and one not. The mysteries of inclination are not to be solved by objective scrutiny, and what the spectators are encouraged to see is not by any means what they scrutinize. While the text repeatedly evokes a miniaturized fairy world, which is delicate and tenebrous and sometimes invisible, what is seen are full-sized human beings, even boys being not especially miniature. Moreover, what the original audiences presumably saw was daylit and without benefit of scenery. Suspension of disbelief, like inclination, is a potent thing. The mechanical's efforts are subject to the same enhancement. Hippolyto's initial resistance to their play is rebuked by her husband. This is the silliest stuff that I have ever heard. That ever I heard. The best in this kind are but shadows, and the worst are no worse. If imagination amend them, it must be your imagination then, and not theirs. By line 282, her imagination, and with it, her feelings have been engaged. Beshrew my heart, but I pity the man. We may remember that at the start of this act, Theseus likened poetic creation to the delusions of lovers and madmen. Something the play at once illustrates and demonstrates. It is a more insidious, even more subliminal version of what Henry V's chorus exhorts us. Piece out our imperfections with your thoughts. Not that there are many imperfections, but what has proved to be the most enduringly popular and genuinely comic of Shakespeare's earlier comedies. Scene 2, another part of the wood, enter Titiana with her train. Come now, a roundel and a fairy song. Then for the third part of a minute hence, some to kill cankers in the musk rose buds. Some wore with rear mice for their leathern wings. To make my small elves coats, and some keep back. The clamorous owl that nightly hoots and wonders at our quaint spirits, sing me now asleep. Then to your offices and let me rest. The fairies sang. You spotted snakes with double tongue, thorny hedgehogs be not seen. Newts and blind worms do no wrong. Come not near our fairy queen, Philomel with melody, sting in our sweet lullaby, lullaby, never harm, nor spell nor charm. Come our lovely lady and I, good night with lullaby. Um, Come, sit thee down upon this flowery bed, while I thy amiable cheeks to do coy, and stick musk roses in the sleek, smooth head, and kiss thy fair, large ears, my gentle joy. Where's Peas Blossom? Ready. Scratch my head. Peas Blossom, where's Monsieur Cobweb? Ready. Monsieur Cobweb. Good Monsieur. Get you your weapons in your hand and kill me. A red-hipped, humble bee on the top of a thistle. And good Monsieur, bring me the honey bag. Do not fret yourself too much in the action. Monsieur and good Monsieur, have a cave. Oh, have a care, and the honey bag break not. I will be loath to have you overflown with a honey bag, Monsieur or Signor. Where's Monsieur Mustard Seed? Ready. I'm just going to go to the Romeo and Juliet. I'm not too familiar with that. Okay. Act 2, Scene 2, Capulet's Orchard. Enter Romeo. He just the scars that never felt a wound. Enter Juliet, butt over the window. But soft! What light through yonder window breaks? It is the east, and Juliet is the sun. Arise, fair sun, and kill the envious moon, who is already sick and pale with grief. That thou, her maid, art more fair than she, be not her maid, since she is envious. Her vestal ivory is but sick and green, and none but fools do wear it. Cast it off. It is my lady. Oh, it is my love. Oh, that she knew she were. She speaks, yet she says nothing. What of that? Her eye discourses. I will answer it. I am too bold. 'Tis not to me she speaks, to the fair stars and all of heaven, all the heavens having entreated her, having some business, do entreat her eyes till they twinkle in their spheres, till they return. What if her eyes were there, they in her head? The brightness of her cheek would shame those stars, as daylight doth a lamp. But through the airy region streams so bright, that birds would sing and think it were not night. See how she leans her cheek upon her hand? Oh, that it were a glove upon that hand, that I might touch that cheek. She speaks. Oh, speak again, bright angel, for thou art as glorious to this night, being over my head, as is a winged messenger of heaven. Unto the white upturned wondering eyes of mortals that fall back to gaze on him, when he bestrides the lazy pacing clouds and sails upon the bosom of the air. O Romeo, Romeo, wherefore art thou, Romeo? Deny thy father, refuse thy name. Or if thou wilt not, be but sworn by love, and I'll no longer be a Capulet. Shall I hear more, or shall I speak at this? 'Tis but thy name that is my enemy. Thou art thyself, though not a Montag. What's a Montag? It is nor hand, nor foot, nor arm, nor face, nor any other man belong, and any other part belonging to a man. Oh, be some other name. What's in a name? That which we call a rose by any other name would smell as sweet. So Romeo would, were he not Romeo called, retain that dear perfection which he owes without that title. Romeo, doff thy name, for thy name, which is no part of thee, take all. I take thee at thy word. Call me but love, and I'll be new baptized. What man art thou, thus bescreened in my counsel, so thus bescreened in night, so stumblest on my counsel? By a name I know not how to tell thee who I am. My name is hateful to myself because it is an enemy to thee. Had I had written it, I would tear the word. My ears have not yet drunk 100 words of thy tongue's uttering, yet I know the sound. Art thou not Romeo and a Montag? Neither, fair maid, if either thee dislike. How canst thou hither tell me and wherefore? The orchard walls are high and hard to climb, and the place death considering who thou art. If any my kinsman find thee here, with love's light wings did I overperch these walls, for stony limits cannot hold love out. And what love can do, that dares love attempt, therefore thy kinsmen are no stop to me. If they do see thee, they will murder thee. Alack, there lies more peril in thine eye than 20 of their swords. Look thou but sweet, and I am proof against their enmity. By whose direction foundst thou out this place? By love that first did prompt me to inquire. He lent me wings, and I lent him counsel. I am no pilot, yet wert thou as far as that vast shore, washed with the farthest sea I should venture for such merchandise. By and by I come to cease thy suit and leave me my grief tomorrow while I send. So thrive, my soul, 1,000 times good night. 1,000 times the worst to want thy light. Love goes towards love as schoolgirls from their books, but love from love towards school with heavy looks. Romeo or Juliet above. Hiss, Romeo, hiss. Oh, for a Faulkner's voice to lure this tassel gentle back again, bondage is hoarse, and may not speak aloud, else would I tear the cave where echo lives and make her airy tongue more hoarse than mine with repetition. It is my soul that calls upon my name. How silver sweet sound lovers' tongues by night, like softest music to attending ears. Romeo, my dear, at what o'clock tomorrow shall I send to thee? By the hour of 9. I will not fail. 'Tis 20 years till then. I have forgot why I did call thee back. Let me stand here till thou remember it. I shall forget to have thee still stand there, remembering how I love thy company, and I shall still stay to have thee still forgetting any other name but this. 'Tis almost morning. I would have thee gone, and yet no farther than a wanton's burr that lets it hop a little from her hand, like a poor prisoner in his twisted gyves, and with a silk thread plucks it back again, so loving jealous of his liberty. Now I'm going to go to the end of the play. Okay. Give me the mattock and the wrenching iron. Oh, take this letter early in the morning. See thou deliver it to my father. Give me the light. Upon the life I charge thee. Whatever thou hearest or seest, stand all aloof, and do not interrupt me in my course while I descend into this bed of death. It is partly to behold my lady's face, but chiefly to take thence from her dead finger a precious ring, a ring that I must use in dear employment, therefore hence be gone. But if thou jealous dost return to pry what I farther shall intend to do, by heaven I will tear thee joint by joint and strew this hungry churchyard with thy limbs. The time and my intents are savage wild, more fierce and more inexorable, far than empty tigers of the roaring sea. And will be gone, sir, and not trouble ye. So shalt thou show me friendship, take thou that, live and be prosperous, and farewell, good fellow. For all the same, I'll hide me his looks I fear, and his doubts I intend, or I doubt. Thou detestable maw, thou womb thou hast gorged with the dearest morsel of earth. Thus I enforce thy rotten jaws to open, and in despite I'll cram thee with more food. Now let's go right to the end of the play. Okay, so, let's see. This letter doth make good the friar's words, their course of love, the tidings of her death. And here he writes that he did buy a poison of a poor apothecary, and therewithal came to this vault to die, and lie with Juliet. Where be these enemies? Capulet, Montague? See what a scourge is laid upon your hate, that heaven finds means to kill your joys with love. And I, for winking at your discords too, have lost a brace of kinsmen. All are punished. Oh, brother Montague, give me thy hand. This is my daughter's jointure, for no more can I demand. But I can give thee more, for I will raise her statue in pure gold. That whiles Verona, that name is known, that there shall no figure be at such rate be set as that of true and faithful Juliet. As rich shall Romeo by his ladies lie, poor sacrifices of our enmity. A gloaming peace this morning with it brings. The sun for sorrow will not show his head. Go hence, to have more talk of these sad things. Some shall be pardoned, and some punished. For never was a story of more woe than this of Juliet and her Romeo.